So here we are, just a few days after what many are calling Liberation Day. But let's be real. As the dust settles, it's becoming pretty clear that we're walking straight into one of the most uncertain and challenging economic periods we've seen in a while. The U.S. has rolled out a broad wave of new tariffs on imports from a range of economies, especially across Asia. And while the effects won't hit the economic data immediately, it's only a matter of time before we start feeling the pain. For countries like Vietnam and Thailand, which are super dependent on exports to the U.S., the impact could be major. If trade flows from these countries take a hit, their local economies could slow down fast, and that kind of weakness can spread. But here's the thing. Understanding what's really going on right now is extra tough. All the trade and consumer data we're getting, it's noisy. Why? Because of front-loading. Companies rushed to ship goods ahead of the tariffs, and that distorts everything. It's like trying to judge the weather by looking at a storm cloud that passed 5 minutes ago. It'll probably take several months before we can really see how the underlying economy is performing underneath all the noise. Sure, surveys can help, but even those aren't always clear. For example, U.S. consumer confidence is still heavily influenced by political views. That means the data isn't just about economics anymore, it's also about partisanship. And on the business side, some firms might report strong production now, only to slow down later as demand catches up with reality. Take the U.S. ISM manufacturing report. On the surface, it dropped to 49.0 in March, which already signals contraction. But when you actually read the comments from businesses in the report, they're incredibly pessimistic. It tells us that even this weak headline number might be understating the real issues on the ground. And we haven't even gotten to inflation yet. Let's talk about the potential inflation shock. If U.S. import volumes stay close to last year's levels, despite the tariffs, we could see total import costs shoot up by about 20%. That's massive. And it's already showing up in consumer surveys. Inflation expectations are rising again, and businesses are complaining more and more about cost pressures. So the question is, how does the rest of the world respond? There's a lot of hope that China and Europe will step in with more aggressive domestic policy support. Maybe central banks will finally cut rates more forcefully. Maybe falling energy prices will help ease the pressure on households. But right now, none of that is certain. Everyone is basically waiting, watching to see how the big players respond to these tariffs. And that's what makes this moment so confusing. There are so many moving pieces, so many unknowns. You've got shifting trade flows, distorted data, nervous consumers, businesses trying to plan around politics, and central banks stuck between inflation and weak growth. In short, the global economy has become a harder beast to figure out than ever before. That's why keeping a close eye on the data, all of it, is more important than ever. We've got to look at trade numbers, business and consumer surveys, hard activity data like industrial production and retail sales, everything. Because only by putting all the pieces together can we begin to understand the full picture of what's happening. So, over the next few months, the key to making sense of this economic chaos will be patience and precision. Stay grounded in the numbers, but don't forget the bigger story unfolding behind them. And remember, this isn't just about tariffs or inflation or GDP numbers. This is about how policy choices ripple through economies, how businesses adapt, and how consumers respond when the rules of the game keep changing. Keep watching, stay sharp, and as always, we'll be right here breaking down the data and helping you make sense of it all.